My love, there is something I have wanted to tell you for a long time. Not because I expect anything in return, not because I want to change your heart, but because some feelings become too heavy to keep hidden forever. I'm crazy about you. Not in the way the movies describe love. Not because I think you are perfect, but because somehow your presence taught me to appreciate the little things in life. When I think of you, I don't think about expensive gifts or grand promises. I think about quiet conversations, simple smiles, moments of peace, the feeling that someone truly listens. If Allah ever writes our paths together, I hope our story is built on respect before romance, trust before words, and faith before feelings. Because feelings can change, but good character and sincere faith remain. There were days when I wanted to tell you how much you meant to me. Instead, I stayed silent, not because I was afraid, but because I wanted my heart to remain within the limits that Allah has set. Real love is not only about expressing emotions, it is also about protecting dignity, showing respect, and making sincere dua for the other person, whether they know it or not. So I prayed that Allah grants you peace, that He protects your heart, that He blesses your family, and if we are truly written for one another, may He unite us in a way that pleases Him. If not, then I pray He gives you what is best, even if it is not me, because love that seeks Allah's pleasure is never wasted. People often think love is about never facing hardship. I think love is standing beside someone through hardship without losing kindness. It is choosing patience when emotions are high. It is speaking gently when silence would be easier. It is remembering that every heart deserves compassion. So, yes, I am crazy about you, but more than that, I hope to become someone whose love reflects honesty, mercy, patience, and faith, because only that kind of love has the strength to last. And this is only the beginning of what I want to tell you. My love, when I say I'm crazy about you, I don't mean that I have forgotten everything else in life. I don't mean that my world should revolve around one person. What I mean is that meeting you changed the way I look at kindness, patience, and hope. You reminded me that even a simple conversation can stay in someone's heart for a long time. There were days when I wanted to send you a message just to ask how you were. There were nights when I wondered if you were smiling or carrying worries that nobody else knew about. Instead of letting those thoughts become selfish, I turned many of them into silent prayers. I asked Allah to protect you, to guide you, to give you peace. Because if love is sincere, it should wish goodness for the other person before anything else. I have learned that real love is not about controlling someone. It is not about jealousy, pride, or possession. Real love is respect. It is trust. It is wanting the other person to become closer to Allah, even if that requires patience and sacrifice. If Allah ever writes our future together, I hope we become partners who help each other grow. When one of us becomes weak, the other offers encouragement. When one of us makes a mistake, the other responds with wisdom instead of humiliation. When life becomes difficult, we remember that every hardship carries the promise of Allah's mercy. I don't dream of perfection, I dream of sincerity, a home where we greet each other with kindness, a home where gratitude is spoken every day, a home where prayer is never forgotten, even during the busiest seasons of life. I imagine ordinary evenings more than extraordinary celebrations, sharing a simple meal, talking about our day, making dua together before sleeping, thanking Allah for the blessings we often overlook. Those moments are the ones that build a lifetime of memories. My love, if one day we disagree, I pray we never allow anger to become greater than respect. I hope we learn to listen before speaking, to understand before judging, to forgive before resentment has the chance to grow. Because every lasting relationship is strengthened by mercy, not by winning arguments. Sometimes people ask what love feels like. For me, love feels like wanting someone's heart to remain at peace. It feels like making dua for them when they are not present. It feels like protecting their dignity, whether they are beside you or far away. It feels like trusting Allah with the future instead of trying to control every outcome. That is why I am not afraid of waiting. If Allah has written us for each other, no distance can prevent His plan. If He has written something different, then I trust that His wisdom is greater than my understanding. Until then, I will continue working on myself. I will continue asking Allah to improve my character, to remove pride from my heart, to increase my patience, to make me worthy of every blessing He chooses to place in my life. And wherever you are today, may Allah fill your heart with tranquility. May He bless your family. May He guide every step you take. And may He write for you the future that brings you closest to His mercy, because that, more than anything else, is what true love hopes for. It hopes not only for happiness in this world, but for success in the hereafter as well. My love, as I write these final words, I want to be honest with you. When I say I'm crazy about you, I'm not saying that you are the center of my universe. The center of my life is Allah. Everything else, including love, should bring us closer to Him rather than take us away from Him. If He has written our paths to meet, I will welcome that blessing with gratitude. If He has written a different future, I will ask Him to give us both what is best. That is what trusting Allah truly means. There was a time when I believed love alone could solve every problem. Life taught me something different. Love needs patience. Love needs honesty. Love needs forgiveness. Love needs respect. And above all, love needs faith. Without those foundations, even the strongest feelings can fade. With those foundations, ordinary moments become extraordinary. I dream of a future where we encourage each other to become better people, where we remind each other to pray, where we celebrate blessings together and face hardships together, where we never allow pride to become more important than kindness. If one day we disagree, I hope we remember that we are not enemies. We are two imperfect people trying to build one peaceful home. I hope we choose gentle words even when emotions are high, because words can remain in someone's heart long after the conversation ends. I hope our home becomes a place where gratitude is spoken often, where laughter is heard, where guests feel welcomed, where our parents are honored, and if Allah blesses us with children, I hope they grow up seeing respect between us every single day, not because we are perfect, but because we continue choosing mercy. My love, I never want you to wonder if you are appreciated. The smallest acts of kindness matter. A sincere smile, a thoughtful conversation, a quiet dua, a patient response after a difficult day. These are the things that strengthen hearts. As the years pass, appearances will change. Our hair may turn grey, our faces may carry the marks of time, but I pray our character grows more beautiful every year. I pray our faith becomes stronger. I pray our gratitude becomes deeper. I pray we become known not for what we owned, but for how we treated people and how sincerely we worshipped Allah. If life ever becomes difficult, let us remember that every hardship is temporary. Allah never abandons those who place their trust in Him. Every test carries wisdom, even when we cannot immediately see it. Every sincere prayer is heard. Every act of patience is rewarded. That hope gives me peace. Before I finish, I want to leave you with one final prayer. Ya Allah, if this person is truly good for my faith, my life, and my hereafter, then unite our hearts in a way that pleases you. Fill our home with mercy, honesty, patience, and gratitude. Protect us from pride, anger, and selfishness. Help us encourage one another toward goodness. And if our paths are not meant to be together, then bless us both with what is truly best, and keep our hearts content with your decree. That prayer means more to me than any promise I could make, because my promises are limited. Allah's wisdom is perfect. So, yes, I'm crazy about you. I care about you. I pray for your happiness. But above everything else, I pray that both of us remain close to Allah, because every blessing in this world is temporary, while His mercy is everlasting. If one day He writes our story together, I will spend my life thanking Him. If He writes a different story, I will still thank Him, because I trust that He knows what I cannot. And that is how I want this story to end. Not with certainty about the future, but with certainty that Allah's plan is always better than our own. Even the smallest change becomes impossible to ignore. I kept reading our messages again and again, looking for the old feeling, looking for the warmth that once existed so naturally between us. But it wasn't there anymore, and that was the moment my heart began to understand something painful. Love does not always end with arguments. It does not always disappear in one dramatic moment. Sometimes it simply fades, slowly, quietly, without noise, without warning, just like the way a sunset disappears from the beautiful but impossible to stop. That night I stayed awake for a long time, looking at our old messages, scrolling through conversations from months ago. moments where we laughed for hours, moments where we talked about life, about dreams, about things that felt important back then. And every word reminded me of the same question. When did things start changing? When did the warmth disappear? When did the distance begin? When did the person who once felt so close suddenly feel so far away? But the truth is, sometimes there is no clear moment, no single day where everything breaks. Feelings simply shift little by little until one night you suddenly realize that the person you once held in your heart so tightly is no longer standing in the same place, and that realization hurts in a quiet way, not loud, not dramatic, but deep, the kind of pain that sits silently in your chest. That night, I didn't cry loudly. I didn't break anything. I didn't even send you a message explaining how I felt because sometimes the heart understands something that words cannot fix. I realized something very simple. You were still there, but the love I once felt from you was not. And that was the moment I understood what losing someone truly means. It doesn't always happen when they leave. Sometimes it happens while they are still there, still talking, still existing in your life, but emotionally already gone. That night, I closed my phone slowly and I stared at the ceiling for a long time, thinking about everything we once had, every conversation, every memory, every moment that once felt special. And strangely, I didn't feel angry. I didn't blame you because feelings are not something we can control. They arrive, they grow, and sometimes they leave, just like seasons changing. But that night taught me something important about love. Sometimes the hardest goodbye is not the one we say out loud, it is the one we understand silently, the one where two hearts slowly move in different directions without any dramatic ending, without any final explanation, just a quiet understanding that something beautiful has already ended. And that night, as the world outside became quiet, as the clock slowly passed midnight, my heart finally accepted the truth. The person I once loved so deeply was no longer mine to hold, and that was the I realized I had already lost you. After that night, sleep never came easily. My body was tired, but my mind refused to rest. Every time I closed my eyes, memories of you quietly returned. Not dramatic memories, not the kind people see in movies, just small moments, simple conversations, little laughs we once shared. But strangely, those small moments hurt the most because they reminded me how real everything once felt and how different everything had become. I remember lying in bed that night, looking at the ceiling while the room stayed completely silent. The world outside was sleeping, but inside my mind, a thousand thoughts were awake. Questions I didn't want to ask, truths I didn't want to accept. For a long time, I kept telling myself something simple. Maybe nothing has changed. Maybe you're just busy. Maybe I'm overthinking. But deep inside my heart, another voice was whispering the truth. A quiet voice saying, "Something is different now." The hardest part about losing someone emotionally is this: there is no clear moment when it happens, no sudden goodbye, no final conversation. Instead, distance slowly grows between two hearts until one day you wake up and realize the connection you once felt is no longer there, and that realization can break a heart in ways words cannot explain. The next few days felt strange. We still talked sometimes, but everything felt lighter, shorter, less meaningful. Conversations that once lasted hours now ended in minutes. Messages that once carried warmth now felt polite, friendly, but distant. And I noticed every single change. Because when someone lives inside your heart, even their silence becomes loud. I started remembering how things used to be, back when everything felt easy, back when we could talk about anything, back when laughter came naturally, back when I never questioned your feelings, because back then your presence felt certain. But now everything felt fragile, like a beautiful glass slowly cracking. And the worst part was I couldn't fix it. Because love cannot be forced, feelings cannot be demanded, and hearts cannot be controlled. One evening, I decided to read our old messages again, something I hadn't done in a long time. Scrolling through them felt like walking through a museum of memories. Every message was a reminder of a different time, a time when we both seemed happier, a time when everything felt possible. There were jokes that once made us laugh endlessly, conversations about dreams, late night talks about life. And in those messages, I could see something very clearly: the way we used to care, the way we used to listen to each other, the way our words once carried warmth. And suddenly, a painful thought crossed my mind. Maybe nothing had changed in a single moment. Maybe the change had been happening slowly all along. Maybe I just didn't want to see it. Because sometimes the heart protects itself with hope, even when the truth is standing right in front of us. That night, I finally asked myself a question I had been avoiding. What if this story is already over? Not because of anger, not because of betrayal, but simply because feelings had changed, and accepting that truth felt like losing something precious. But strangely, along with the sadness, there was also a small sense of peace, because love should never feel like a fight. It should never feel like chasing someone who is slowly walking away. Love should feel natural, mutual, alive. And when it stops feeling that way, sometimes the most painful choice is also the most honest one. Letting go, not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly accepting what the heart already knows. That night, I sat alone for a long time, thinking about everything, and I realized something important. Even if our story didn't last forever, someone I talked to occasionally, a friendly voice, a pleasant presence, nothing more. But over time, something strange began happening. Your presence started affecting my mood. When you were happy, my day felt brighter. When you seemed distant, something inside me felt uneasy. I started noticing small things about you: the way your eyes soften when you smile, the way your voice changes when you talk about something you love, the way you try to hide your sadness when something hurts you. Those little details slowly became important to me. Without realizing it, I started caring about you more than I cared about myself, and that scared me because caring deeply about someone means giving them the power to hurt you. It means trusting them with a piece of your heart, and trust has never been easy for me, but somehow you made it feel natural, comfortable, safe, and now my heart carries a truth that I haven't had the courage to tell you yet, a truth that lives quietly inside every time I look at you. Oh, if only you knew how deeply I care for you, you might understand why I notice when you're tired, why I worry when you're silent, why your laughter feels like music to my ears. But for now, these feelings remain hidden, not because they are small, but because they are too big for simple words, and maybe one day, when the moment feels right, you will finally hear the truth my heart has been holding for so long. Sometimes I sit quietly and watch you from a distance, not in a strange way, but in a way only someone who truly cares would understand. I notice things about you that most people probably miss. The way you pretend everything is fine even when something is bothering you. The way your smile sometimes hides a tired heart. The way your eyes look different when you're thinking deeply about something, and every time I notice those things, my heart whispers the same thought. I wish I could protect you from every pain, but life isn't that. And simple, caring deeply about someone doesn't always mean you have the right to step into their world. Sometimes you simply, I stand nearby, watching silently, hoping they're okay. That's the strange position I often find myself in. You are so important to me, yet you may never fully realize it because the feelings I carry for you are not easy to explain. They are quiet, gentle, but incredibly strong. Every small detail about you has become meaningful to me. If you look tired, I notice. If you seem happy, it brightens my entire day. If you are silent for too long, my mind begins wondering if something is wrong. Those feelings didn't appear suddenly, they grew slowly like roots spreading quietly beneath the ground, and before I realized it, you had become part of my thoughts every single day. Sometimes I ask myself a difficult question: why does this person matter so much to me? And the honest answer is I don't know exactly when it started. Maybe it was the way you listened to me when I needed someone. Maybe it was the way your kindness felt genuine. Or maybe it was simply the way your presence made the world feel calmer. Whatever the reason, your place in my heart became real, but along with that, there is also something else fear. Because loving someone deeply without telling them can be painful. Every day, my heart fights a quiet battle. Part of me wants to tell you everything, to look into your eyes and say, do you know how much you mean to? But another part of me stays silent, afraid that those words might change everything. What if you don't feel the same way? What Love me like I love you, not halfway, not only when it's easy, not only during beautiful moments, but completely, honestly, softly, the way my heart has loved you from the very beginning. Because if I'm honest, I have never loved anyone the way I love you. There's something about you that changed me quietly. Before you, I was careful with my feelings, careful with attachment, careful with letting people get too close. But then you came into my life, and suddenly my heart stopped being careful. It trusted you naturally, like it already knew you were special. And maybe that's why my feelings became so deep without me even realizing it. You became part of my thoughts so easily, part of my mornings, part of my nights, part of every little thing that makes life feel beautiful. And honestly, sometimes it scares me because loving someone this deeply means they have the power to hurt you too. But still, I chose to love you completely, without pretending, without holding back, without making you question my feelings, because that's the kind of love I believe in. The kind that stays, the kind that feels safe, the kind that doesn't disappear when life becomes difficult. And maybe that's why I quietly wish for something simple from you. Love me like I love you. Think about me the way I think about you. Miss me when I'm quiet. Notice when my heart feels heavy, even if I don't say anything. Choose me even during difficult days. Because real love is not only about sweet words, it's about effort, consistency, presence, and honestly, I try to give you all of that. There are nights when I stay awake just thinking about you, wondering if you truly understand how important you are to me, wondering if you know how much peace your voice brings into my life, wondering if you realize how deeply my heart has attached itself to you. Because to me, you are not temporary, you feel like home, and that's rare, very rare. Sometimes I replay our conversations in my mind, the random laughs, the little moments, the way you say my name, and every memory somehow pulls my heart closer to you. That's when I realize something. I don't just love being around you, I love who I become when I'm with you. Softer, happier, more alive. And maybe that's what true love really does. It brings out parts of you that were sleeping for years. My love, if you could see inside my heart for just 1 minute, you would understand everything. You would see how sincerely I care, how much effort I put into loving you quietly, how every small thing about you matters to me. And maybe then you would finally understand why I keep whispering the same thing in silence. Love me like I love you, my love. After saying those words, I kept thinking about something deeply. What does it truly mean to love someone the right way? Is it just saying, I love you every day? Is it sweet messages and romantic moments? Or is it something deeper than that? And honestly, the more I thought about it, the more I realized something beautiful. Real love is not loud all the time. Sometimes it's quiet, it's staying, it's noticing small changes in someone's voice. It's remembering little details they forgot to mention again. It's choosing patience during difficult moments. And that's exactly how I try to love you. Not perfectly, but sincerely. There are so many things I do quietly that you probably never notice. The way I check my phone hoping your message appears. The way my mood changes depending on how you sound. The way I replay your words in my head after conversations end. The way I silently pray for your happiness without telling you. Because loving you became natural to me. Not forced, not complicated, just real. And maybe that's why my heart sometimes becomes emotional. Because when you love someone deeply, you secretly hope they feel things with the same intensity. You hope they notice your effort, your softness, your loyalty, and sometimes I wonder if you truly understand how much of my heart belongs to you. Because to you, maybe I look calm, maybe I seem normal, but inside, you are everywhere. In my thoughts, in my dreams, in the quiet moments nobody sees. And honestly, that's both beautiful and terrifying. Beautiful because loving you makes life feel meaningful. Terrifying because loving someone this deeply means risking heartbreak too. But even knowing that, I still choose you every single time because some connections are worth the risk. Some people feel too rare to love halfway, and you are one of them. Sometimes I imagine what life would feel like if we continued choosing each other forever, not just during easy moments, but during difficult ones too. I imagine us supporting each other when life becomes exhausting, understanding each other during misunderstandings, holding on even when the world feels heavy, because real love is tested during hard times. Anyone can stay during beautiful moments, but true love stays when things become complicated too. And honestly, that's the kind of love I want with you. Not temporary excitement, not inconsistent feelings, but something safe, something loyal, something deep enough to survive difficult days. My love, I don't need perfection from you. I don't expect you to always know the right words. I don't expect life to always feel easy between us. I just want something simple. Love me sincerely. Choose me honestly. Stay when things become hard. Because I promise you, that's exactly how I love you. There are moments when I look at our connection and quietly smile to myself because no matter what happens around me, thinking about you still makes my heart softer. Your presence still feels comforting. Your voice still feels